Hi guys, Mr. Gillen here, and during this video we are going to look at the quadratic formula. Previously we have worked with quadratic equations where we have factorised, split the factors up and then solved the equations to find the roots of the equation. What we're going to look at just now in this video is what do we do if we can't factorise. If we can't factorise, we have this thing called the quadratic formula. So in an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and that depends on a not being 0, where a, b and c are constants, the values of x that satisfy the equation are the roots of the equation. And as we say, if we cannot factorise the equation, then the quadratic formula can be used to solve it. So let's have a look at the quadratic equation itself. We've got x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared subtract 4ac all over 2a. And again, that's when a is anything except 0. That's what that wee part means. You'll find the quadratic formula in the formula list at the front of an exam paper or a test paper, so you're not required to remember it, but just like trig formulas, if you can remember it, it'll probably make you a bit more confident. So let's have a look at an example then. We've got find the roots of the equation 3x squared subtract 5x subtract 1 equals 0. Correct to 2 decimal places. Now that last part of that question, that phrase, correct to 2 decimal places, is a big clue for you to let you know what you have to do. If you see correct to 2 decimal places, then that's an indicator that you cannot factorise. So if you see that, then it should set off a wee trigger in your brain that you're going to be using the quadratic formula. So if you can remember the quadratic formula, then you would first of all write it down. If you can't, then as we said previously, go to the front of the page and you'll find it there. So we'll get minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared subtract 4ac. And that's all over 2a. So that's me got my formula. Now what I want to do is I want to find values for a, b and c. If you remember back to factorising, we know that a, b and c can be found from the equation itself. So a is whatever number appears in front of the x squared term. B is whatever number appears in front of the x term. And c is the number that appears on its own. So I've got my values for a, b and c. I've got my quadratic formula. The next step is I'm going to substitute it into my formula. So one of the big things to be careful with here is your negative numbers. So I've got x squared equals, and I've got negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared subtract 4 times 3 times negative 1 all over 2 times 3. Once I've got everything substituted in, I'm going to tidy it up a wee bit just so it's easier to work with. So negative 5 is just 5, plus or minus the square root. Negative 5 squared is going to give me 25. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, multiplied by negative 1 is plus 12. And then I've got over 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. At that point, I'm now going to split up this plus and negative sign. I'm going to split up into 2 different equations. So I'm going to first have x equals 5 plus 25 plus 12 is 37 over 6. And then I'm going to have x equals 5 subtract root 37 over 6. So I'm going to have 2 different answers here. X equals, so if I type into my calculator 5 plus root 37, I get 11.0877 continued on over 6. And if I do same with 5 subtract negative 37, sorry, root 37, I get minus 1.0827 ... over 6. My answer for that, once I put it into the calculator, I'm going to have x equals 1.8471, and I'm going to have x equals negative 0.1804. Now the question itself has said correct to 2 decimal places. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a wee statement at the end that says roots are negative 0.18 and 1.85. So there I have found the equation, I've solved the equation, and I've given my answer to 2 decimal places, just like I've been asked in the question. Hope this helps. Speak to you all soon. Mr. Gillen.